if you haven't prepared yet, because we're on the 20th day of January in 2022, you must sit down and make a plan.
I think for anything that you're about to start, anything significant, especially at the start of the year, because I know your watchers of Just Angie, they always do big and significant things. It's preparation, I think, is a key thing to start well. You have to prepare.
Hey everybody, my name is Angie Murenga. You're on Just Angie and you're watching Just Angie, and today it's Lifestyle Thursday, and I'm always excited at the way that you love and engage with Lifestyle Thursday. So it's the 20th of January in 2022, and I'm very excited to host George on Lifestyle Thursday because this is not usually your segment.
No, it's not.
You actually have never been here on Lifestyle Thursday.
Very exciting. So if it's a different crowd, hello everyone, and excited to be here.
Yeah, so maybe you should tell them what you do, George.
Yeah, so my name is George Thara, married to the lovely Winnie Thara. We have two amazing children, Joshua and Sifa. In the marketplace, I'm in private equity, so I'm in a fund called Frontier Energy, where we focus on renewable energy projects across sub-Saharan Africa. Wow.
And today we're here to talk about lifestyle.
Yes.
So, I initially wanted to do this, and I think that's where I'm going to go, on the 70 Days of Glory. So we had, last year in 2021, we had what we called 70 Days of Glory. It sounded very churchy. I was like, hey, this sounds too churchy. Because I'm a marketplace minister, so I was like, this is too much.
Stuff you see on the big posters.
Big posters, you know, 70 Days of Glory. But I felt it, and we prayed consistently between 7 and 8 p.m. for 70 days. But I thought, this is what I wanted to address in lifestyle. What do you think came out of that? And what are the lessons to learn out of doing even something like that? Because I think that's why God makes us do things like that.
No, I think it was an amazing experience. You know, when you came and told us, we were also shocked. We are looking at our schedules and saying, wow, we have so many other things going on. Will we be able to continue that way? And I think the one thing that it got me was starting strong, because the start was the most important thing, you know. I think initially the numbers were starting, I think there were like 30 people. Then it kept building up and growing and growing. And even the time of the year it was done, because, you know, it was 70 Days of Glory and ushering us into our next. And I think what I sense so much about it is starting well. Because even as we're starting our next, we were using this to position us to start well. Yeah,
and the 7 to 8, I think, and when you start something like that, especially when it's 70 days, you're like, are we ever gonna get to the end of 70 days? So I think that's very important for me. So starting well, starting strong, and maybe starting strategically. Is because there was a strategy. It's not just let's start. What do? We pray between 7 to 8 p.m. It's a consistent time, and we all come together on a call and we pray. And we prayed for 70 days. And it was all to usher us into a glorious 2022. So I believe that if you're out there watching, that there's something that maybe God is asking you to start. We're at the beginning of the year, but you need to start it well, start it strong, and start it strategically.
And just in addition to that, there was a lot of preparation, because you told us this was coming before it came, and a lot of us had to relook at our diaries. You know, there are certain things that people maybe had done. Maybe, well, fortunately it was during COVID times, so curfew kept us at home, but we had to also prepare, because if you have this thing coming of 70 days or consistently every day from 7 p.m., you had to make sure that you don't have other things on your calendar, other things you need to look at them and reorganize. So there was a lot of preparation. And I think for anything that you're about to start, anything significant, especially at the start of the year, because I know your watchers of Just Angie, they always do big and significant things. It's preparation, I think, is a key thing to start well. You have to prepare. Yeah, you have to know what you're doing.
Yeah, so even if you're out there, if you haven't prepared yet, because we're on the 20th day of January in 2022, you must sit down and make a plan. You must sit down, make a plan, decide how you're going to tackle different things, prepare for those things that you want to do. I always remember when Joshua and Sifa were being born. Oh, I loved your analogies. You were like, goodness, Joshua and Sifa, they don't even know how we're preparing for them to get here, you know? There was so much preparation that went into receiving them that they were not even aware of, you know?
They just slipped right through, but that's the whole purpose of preparation, is that things are seamless. And anything that's worth it, anything that's important, preparation is key. Is everything. You know, there's a saying, if you have 8 hours to cut down a tree, spend 6 hours sharpening the axe. And that process makes it so much easier
to do what you need to do.
To do what you need to
and
do.
I think the other thing I kept repeating even during the 70 days of glory, it's not forever. You know, sometimes even as people were adjusting their schedules, it's like, just adjust this, because this is not, it's not 300 days of glory, it's only 70. So I think that's the same thing we need to learn. Yeah, there's something we need to do, maybe for the long haul, maybe gain some discipline. We say it takes 21 days to break a habit, you know, but it's not forever. Sometimes even what makes us not start is that we think, oh my goodness, will this ever be over? But there is a time constraint within it. So you should do it, because it's not forever. It's not forever. You can get into it and get doing it, and let's see what happens.
And I think that's the biggest maturity thing that you should always gain, is that thing of, it's a season.
Yes.
Because there's some times I remember when I was younger, I had this very challenging boss, and I thought, oh, I can't do this for the rest of my life. And I almost quit my job because I felt like this is going to be like this forever.
That's a good one.
But a month later, I got a new boss.
A new boss.
And that's a place where I met my wife. So if I had rushed that season and not been there, my life would have been very different to how it is today. So that thing of understanding seasons are not permanent, right? So don't make those permanent decisions in temporary seasons. So even when you're asked to do these things because anything significant you want to do, it's probably going to take time. Yeah. Just give all in. Just go all into it. It's not forever, but it's going to be worth it at the end.
I really like that, because I think also, like, you know, January, sometimes we're in those critical decision scenarios where maybe you're having a hard time, you know, even in marriage, you know, I think a lot of people, and I've said it myself as well, were too quick to make decisions that should have taken a longer time. We should have thought it through. So even work, you see, you wanted to quit. Yeah, so whatever it is, I think staying there for the long haul, let's just see how it's going to play out, you know. I also tell people when they're in situations which are difficult, maybe God is working on you as well. So don't be quick to depart from the process, because you'll keep repeating that process until you get it done. So sometimes it's just say, okay, here I am, let's see. How do I deal with this situation? But not to be quick to act, or to react, or to make permanent decisions, like you said, in a temporary season. That's very, very powerful.
It's so true, it's so true. And that's the other thing is, when you're about to start, if you really want to start, well, take time to understand why you're doing what you're doing.
Yes, that's so important.
Because like there was a time in a season, I remember when we had these exams that you had to sit, and you had to study for a 6-month period. Halfway through, you get so tired, and you're like, why am I doing this? Is it worth the paper? Is it worth the effort? And if you are very consistent, at least at the beginning of knowing this is why I'm doing this thing, right?
Keep the why in front of you.
Keep the why in front of you. Always put it on posters above your bed, because there'll be a time during that period where you start to second guess yourself and say, is it really worth it? It's this 70 days of glory. I've done 45. Maybe, you know, I can give up some of my time and do other things. But if you keep it at the forefront, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
The why.
The why is critical. And I think if you want to start strong, focus also of clarity of what the why is. What is it? An exam? Is it a new fitness regime? Whatever it is.
What's the why?
Keep the why. Clarity of what the why is.
And that's very important, because you see in January, traditionally, I think across the world, people join the gym, people get into, we're going to do this. But usually February, March, we know who is actually going to do this and who isn't. So I think it's important for you to keep the why, like if it's a fitness regime. But I've just remembered something you like to say about marriage, about the way that you see your wife as if she already is.
Yes.
So I don't know, maybe you can take us through that, because that's another powerful why, because marriage is another thing. Relationships, friendships are something that we really need in life, but we don't define the why adequately, or we don't see it the way that it should be, the way that you explain it.
Oh, it's everything. You see it in marriages, you see it in entrepreneurs, because it's also having a conviction. You know what the end result is, and it's very clear what the end result, and you have this, you live life like it's there already.
Yes.
The way you approach it, you know, it's, even though things look differently, you're fully convinced that that's, so if with my wife, I know who God has said she is. She's my destiny. I know she's not going anywhere, and I'm not going anywhere. And that means even when we have certain challenges or miscommunication, I know she's not going anywhere.
That's amazing.
Because you know the why. Because when you're not so sure of the why, then you start to second guess. Oh, we're having a fight. What does this mean for the future? What does this mean for our children? You start having questions that keep coming in, but With marriage, even if you're going into business from corporate, when if you have a clear why in 2020 you're gonna quit. My sister quit her job in March 2020 at the start, midway through COVID hit. But so I asked her, do you want to go back? She said, no, this is what I am to do. I have full clarity, and now she's doing much better than she was doing when she was employed, because she had clarity of the why. So when a COVID or whatever the new thing that will come to disrupt comes, you keep clarity and say, I'm sticking with this. If it's the 70 days, because I think that's the other thing is of starting well and planning is there'll always be inconveniences that will come in.
There will always be, and there'll always be disruptions that come in. Always
disruptions, that's the word.
You know, even with marriage, the example for marriage, and I love your sister's example as well, but that's why people have an exit clause.
It's true. Yeah.
So if you have a why and you keep the why in front of you, then you'll not have an exit clause, because you keep understanding and reminding yourself, why are we doing this? Yeah. Why am I doing this? And then you do it. And then I think it's also faith. The way you said, you know, you're sure of the end. Like concerning your marriage and concerning your wife and concerning your relationship, you know that the end is great, it is strong, and that's your focus. So you don't take your eyes off that goal, no matter what distractions or disruptions are coming in. Your why is we've got to finish well.
It's always at the back end. You always know this is where we're going.
And then all the decisions are based on the why.
Well, yeah, it has to be, right? So that makes it so easy to make decisions. Because when you don't have a why, then the reason you're making decisions changes based on your emotions
or how I'm feeling at this moment.
How I'm feeling, or the movie I watched last night.
Yeah.
But when you have clarity of the why and that faith, even decision making is easy. You know, this, is it adding? Is it getting me there faster, or is it taking me away from there? So,
and is it disrupting the vision, or is it moving forward? Because it reminds me of Miles Monroe, Dr. Miles Monroe, when he was talking about marriage and why he would not cheat on his wife. It's because of the why.
It's true.
You see, you think of the why. Every decision,
it's the why.
Why don't I want to do this, and why don't I want to go in that direction? And because this is lifestyle, why is your life a certain way? You've got to really think, and I almost feel like burrow down into the why. Don't just do things. Don't just engage things. Don't just go through life without understanding why you're doing what you're doing, having a very serious vision in front of you, starting strong, staying strong, and having a strategy.
That's everything, especially from a lifestyle perspective. A lot of people, when you go past your 25, you start, they call it the rat race. You just wake up, go to bed, wake up, go to bed, and you feel like you're in this flow and it's all automatic. And then you've been led, because when it's like you're in a stream and the current is leading you somewhere and you have no idea where that is. And I don't think that's how life is meant to be. You're meant to know clarity of where you're trying to go, and you then have, through your faith, anchor your direction towards that place. Because the worst thing is, you know, you get to 30 and 40 and you have a midlife crisis because all that you thought was important, all of a sudden it's not important, and you start to have an awareness, but you wasted so much time.
It's like
that you didn't have to.
The pit has fallen away. And I just have one more thing that just dropped in my spirit. I mean, I'm thinking like the bottom has fallen away, and then there you are, you know, having your midlife crisis. But I thought even of the retreat that we have every year. What I like about that, when I was in sales and marketing, we'd have the year to date, you know, history of figures. Like, this is what we've done year to date. This is what we did last year. This is what we have done now. So we'd have like 3 columns. I think there were 3 columns, you know. But it's because we're looking at history. And, you know, every time I go to the retreat, I take my diary for this year. I take what happened the year before. And then I reflect with both of them. Like, what happened before? What happened this year? And then I plan with it the future, because I have all this data. So I feel like when you said, you know, if you're going around your life and there's no plan, there's nothing written down, there's no process, oh my goodness, there's no strategy, then you even have nothing to plan with, because you should be checking the history. What happened before? Why do I need to change this now? What's going to happen going forward? And that's what we're saying, in order to live a powerful life.
Exactly that. And nothing to add to that. That's all it is, right? That's what lifestyle has to be. Not just a lifestyle, but towards a certain direction of what you believe is important.
Amen. So God bless you, and we'll see you next week for the final part in this series that we're doing with George on lifestyle. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.